In this video, we're going to talk about post-exploitation. I already have a Meterpreter session open and I'm seeing information about the system with sysinfo. We can understand the PID of the process we're currently running with getPID and also check how long the user on the victim machine was idle with idle time. We can also upload and download files from the victim machine. Now I'm uploading a PHP reverse shell. If we move to our XP target and we go to the C directory, you'll notice the PHP reverse shell over there. Likewise, we can download files from the target machine to Kali. I'm not creating a text file just for show, and I'm filling it with a bunch of gibberish just to show the concept. I moved the file to the C drive because it's easier in terms of file path. So let's now download this file to Kali. You'll notice that I had to escape the backslash with another backslash. This is important. There you go. You'll notice the file was downloaded to Kali desktop. Same content, of course. Alright. We can deal with post-exploitation both with Meterpreter scripts and with post-exploitation modules. Post-exploitation modules are what Metasploit recommends. Meterpreter scripts are considered to be deprecated. Now let's run a script that allows us to check whether the environment we're in is a virtual machine or not. This is the correct syntax. You see the warning, Meterpreter scripts are deprecated. Anyway, they can be very powerful, nonetheless. You'll notice that, as we already knew, this is a VMware virtual machine. Let's run now another script that returns all system and user very interesting information we have here. Now let's show the difference between the two concepts by using instead a post-exploitation module. You'll notice I had to background the session. Now let's use this module. You'll see that all the post-exploitation modules are stored in the post directory. And these modules are very easy. They don't usually require a payload. In this case, we only had to set up the session parameter like this, and we simply run the exploit. So we can have a list of the users who were recently logged on. And you'll notice on the left the SID or security identifier for each individual users, and on the right their profile path. Okay, if we now go back to our first session where I achieved the privilege escalation, we can run another script to retrieve the list of the applications currently installed. Before we do that, after running the script, we're going to run the post-exploitation modules that Meterpreter recommends us to see what the difference is. So let's now background the session once again. And let's use the post-exploitation module that corresponds to that script. You only see one parameter to be configured. And you can see that we have the same results both from the script and from the post-exploitation module. No big deal. If we go back to the session, we can now run a very powerful script called Scraper, which retrieves a bunch of information automatically for us, including the whole registry, password hashes, and so on and so forth. The beauty of the script is that it cleans up all the traces after performing this operation, so it shouldn't be very noisy, even though I'm not positive about this. You see it exported all the registry hives for us, and we can find the output from the script within this directory named after the IP address of our target machine. Now, if we go and analyze, for example, this file here that shows us the subkeys existing within that registry hive. You might know there are 4 root registry hives within Windows. Interesting information also is the services started on the machine. You'll notice something like remote services, which is very interesting for us. As a matter of fact, this target machine doesn't belong to a domain, so I already knew that. We can also have confirmation of what type of operating system we're running on the victim machine. We already knew this. Interesting resource is what shows here the available shares. You see a remote admin share. Very juicy information for us. No neighboring servers are available, but we knew those because it doesn't belong to a domain, so. We can also view the environmental variables created in Windows. We can also see the password hashes that were automatically dumped for us by this script. In the meantime, I'm running another powerful script called WinEnum, which stands for Windows Enumeration, which runs a series of system commands on the target machine and retrieves the output for us. Okay. We'll find the results from this script within the same parent directory as scraper, and you'll notice this time they're stored in a directory named after the victim's computer name. We can have an idea of what the operating system and the configuration of the target machine is. For example, these are all the users existing on the system. We can have also a list of the available programs. Very juicy information is what is related to the impersonation tokens available and delegation tokens. The token is a logical object assigned to user once he or she successfully authenticated, so that grants access to certain network resources. So if we steal a token, we can impersonate a user without need for his or her credentials. We can also view the firewall rules. This is very interesting information here. Let's now hack our Linux machine. We already could successfully hack in by stealing the SSH keys for user Georgia, but we don't know her password, so we can't become root, so we need to find another way. You'll see that I'm currently logged in through SSH as user Georgia. You'll see that this is an old version of Ubuntu 8.10 called Intrepid. Now, if we check what version of UDEV we have, this is a very old one. It's well known that this UDEV version is vulnerable to an attack, and in this case we will take advantage of a public exploit that's called local privilege escalation vulnerability. In fact, you'll see that this vulnerability affects this old version 8.10, both 32-bit and 64-bit version. We have within Kali Linux search exploit, which allows us to use the exploit database locally instead of going online. We found an exploit available for this vulnerability written in C. So if we want more information, we can edit the C file, and that tells us how to run the attack, as you can read. Practically, the vulnerability happens because UDEV loads device drivers, but there was a vulnerability in older versions allowing even somebody from user space to load device drivers, and so to become root, while it should be only from kernel space. So we only need to find the PID of catproc netlink. If we add the PID for udev daemon, we can use the same PID -1 as a payload for the exploit. So if we add a payload to TMP run, we can successfully exploit the system and become root. Now you'll see that I'm connecting through netcat to Kali Linux through the port 2222 and mine spawning a bash shell. This is kind of the way you write a backdoor using netcat, in other words. Alright. Okay, let's now connect with netcat to the port 2222. But first, I need to upload this exploit file to our Ubuntu machine. So I'm going to move it to the Apache server directory. And I need to start Apache, of course. After that, with wget, I loaded the C file to our Ubuntu machine. And now we need to compile the file because it's written in C. And by the way, I realized that I made a mistake when running the payload for TMP run because I had misspelled the IP address for Kali Linux. In fact, you'll notice that I don't have any connection, and looks like the backdoor doesn't work. That's because the last octet of the IP address I had inserted in the payload was wrong. It was 96 and I written 97. So you see that I'm not able to get a connection back. When I fixed this problem and I ran the exploit, I could get a connection back, as you notice. And now I am root. I can spawn an interactive shell by using Python, as I always do in this kind of situation. It's a very handy trick I learned from Capture the Flags. And there we go. We can therefore read the shadow file and download our Linux ashes. And this is the first part of our post-exploitation stage. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm gonna come up with other videos over the next days. That's all. Bye bye.